In this tutorial, we'll assign these to blurry controller buttons that currently make channel changes in FL Studio to make patch changes in Flex. I have a script to do that, and it's under Options, MIDI Settings, and then Controller Type. And it's called Flex Program Change. So I've loaded the script, and as we're coding, I'll choose View Script Output. And to see the script, edit Script. And here's our script. Now it looks a little complex as it's full of comments, so you can see what's happening without me telling you. But with Flex focused and the script loaded, those same buttons now change patches in Flex. Great. So let's imagine you're starting from scratch and you want to assign those buttons yourself. The first step is to find out what MIDI data the buttons you want to use sends to FL Studio. The best way to do that is to open the Options debugging log, and this shows all the incoming MIDI data. So I'll press one of those buttons again, and it generated two sets of data. The top is button down, and it happens to be in hexadecimal, hex for short. That's not a big deal because you can use both hex and decimal in scripts. But you just need to locate some important features in the data. If we open the MIDI Association's expanded messages list, you can see there are 3 bytes, 3 numbers basically, associated with each MIDI message. The first byte tells what function it is, like note data or knob data. The second and third bytes are data associated with that function. So in FL Studio, we have the first byte, second byte, and third byte. So the debug log has tagged this as a control change. If I touch a note on my controller, notice the first byte is now different. It says note on and off. So the debug log can be useful for working out what type of data controls send. In this case, I pressed C3 in hex, so that's 60 in decimal. So MIDI note 60. The last bytes were the velocity, 32 in hex in this case. So back to the task of finding the data to link to the script. I'll press those 2 buttons again and open the script. Until now we've been working through the introductory parts of this script here. The important variables are here, button previous and button next. So I'll clear the output and press the buttons I want to use for previous and next. And notice that both buttons, the first byte is 176. If you didn't know, you can see this in the MIDI list from before, and it's 176, and that's a control change function. Normally, you'll see notes, which are keys and pads, or control change, which is knobs and slider, data from MIDI controllers. So the first button gave a value of 110, and the button down value was 127 and up 0. And the second button was 111. With the same down and up values. Now these are being printed in decimal, so on the script the button previous was set to 110 and button next 0x6f. The 6f is hex, and that's to show you that number type isn't important. Use what you get from the debug log. If I press my next button, here's 6f for button down and up. If you're going to use hexadecimal, precede it with a 0x in the script. And that's 111 in decimal. So the important section of the script using control change data is here. If the MIDI event ID, that's the data that came in, is of type MIDI control change, and it was because we see 176 in the first byte, then this script will process that data. If you're receiving MIDI note data, then use this function, MIDI note on, here. And if there is a MIDI note on script function, you'll probably find a MIDI note off in the script events too. Then after that, it says if the second value byte is greater than 0, the middle value in those 3 sets of data is greater than 0, then do something. What? If it's equal to the button previous variable, print that you've got to this point in the script to the output window. Then the really important thing is the UI.previous. That's the command that goes to FL Studio to tell it that whatever's focused change to previous. And what's previous depends on what's focused, a plugin or FL Studio. And this is to say it was handled. If it wasn't the previous, then perhaps it was the button next, in which case it goes else if event data 1, the second byte middle number is equal to button next, then do the UI.next command thing. Send that to FL Studio. In this case it's 6F in hex, but I can change it to 111, the decimal equivalent, to show you it still works. Control S to save the script, and I'll reload my script and press the next button. Oops, okay, focus flex and then it works. So yes, don't worry if you're using hex or decimal numbers. And finally it tells FL Studio, yes I did that, the event was handled. And that's it. I hope this tutorial and script get you a little closer to writing your own scripts.